Welcome to the WealthGenius Podcast, brought to you by the Expand Wealth Real Estate Fund. Expand your wealth by investing in apartment buildings. Go to expandwealthfund.com to book your info session. The WealthGenius Podcast, strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The WealthGenius Podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso Cuadra, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The WealthGenius Podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Woo! my brother. Look, I'm still waiting to see the episode, our episode, you know? I told you it was going to be the biggest episode you've ever had on your podcast, and I'm still waiting for it. I hopefully...
it's in the archives somewhere. I'll have to dig it out.
Look, I'm so happy you're here. We've been talking about working together for a very long time, and bingo, we finally did it. We worked it out. And you've been someone that, you know, like is like an old friend, right? It's like we always touch base from here, you know, from time to time. And I remember when we met, actually, you know, we met way back, you know, 2016 or something.
Yeah, something
2016.
like that. Yeah.
And I remember, that's a cool guy, you know, and having drinks together, hanging out together. So this time has, you know, I've been waiting for this time, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to know more about you because you know you're always on podcasts. You got an incredible YouTube channel, and you're interviewing people, but we never get to know kind of the background.
Yeah.
You know, because I know that you were in the theater.
Yeah.
Most people are not going to know that, so that's the kind of things that I want to uncover here.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely.
And so, Darren, how did you get started?
Well, first of all, you know, thanks for having me here. It's great to be a part of your community, and I've always enjoyed working with you, so that was a no-brainer. But how did I get started? I actually got started. I'll take a little step backwards. I worked 15 years professionally in musical theater, and one of the first big jobs that I got was actually working over in Japan at Universal Studios. And in 2001, Universal opened in Japan, and I was part of the inaugural cast. And they brought over 150 foreign performers from...
What show was it?
It was a musical review, like a rock and roll show, right? And I played the Wolfman. And so I got dressed up in my wolf costume every day. I had like an hour of makeup that I had to do.
Wow.
It was kind of crazy. But yeah, so we were part of that inaugural cast, and 150 foreign performers, mostly from Australia, US. There was only 2 Canadians, myself and another woman. But when we went over there, of course, they took care of us, right? They gave us apartments, they built the apartment for the foreign performers. So we were the first ones to live in it. They gave us train passes, bicycles, gym memberships.
Wow.
I got a salary in US dollars, and I got a per diem.
Wow.
And so I was pretty good with my money that year. I was always really good with my money. I was 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you speak Japanese?
I mean, by the end of that year, I was like pretty good. Like I could understand a lot. I could speak a little bit, and you know, but it was just like it's a difficult language to master, and in a 1 year time frame. But I didn't touch my salary the whole year that I was there. And at the end of the year, if you completed the contract, you got a bonus. And because I had done the most shows of anyone in my cast, I got another bonus. And so I came back to Canada, and I had some money, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that money. I was living in Toronto because that was the only place you could kind of live as a musical theater performer. I thought about New York, but I had lived there before, and I didn't really want to go back to New York. And I didn't want to buy anything in Toronto because I couldn't afford it. I would have been house poor. I would have put all my money into like a 600 square foot condo, because at the time they were like $150,000, which I was like, that's crazy to pay for a condo. You know, in retrospect, is always 2020. But I went and bought a house in Alberta, and where I grew up, and it was $130,000 for a little, you know, 2-story. I bought it from the builder. I went in and finished the basement, and I was going to plan to sell that property, flip it, make some profit, and
Did
do
you
it.
hire someone?
Yeah, I hired.
Did you do a lot of the work yourself?
I did very little of the work myself, but that was kind of how I learned about sweat equity. You know, I got into, I hung some drywall and and put up some doors and had some people come in and help me and teach me a few things along the way. And I built a deck with my brother-in-law. So we did a couple little things, but the builder did the bulk of the house.
Were you handy as a kid? Like, were you a handy teenager? Like, did your dad teach you things?
Oh, my dad is like the least handy guy, and he'd be the first one to say that. Like, I'm not telling me.
I have two left hands.
Exactly. No, I wasn't. Like, I was curious. I always really liked, understanding how things work, but I never was really in construction. That wasn't really my thing. But so we did a little bit of work, a little bit of sweat equity, but that was my first property, and I ended up having to rent it out because I couldn't sell it. I had it for 4 years. The market went berserk in Alberta, and it ended up almost doubling in price in those 4 years. Sold that, and then I had enough money to come to Ontario, and I ended up buying a couple properties in Toronto, and that's where my sort of career.
So you made $100K, but $100K on your first property. Mm-hmm. And what are you thinking at this moment? Like, because you just spent how much time working?
Yeah.
Like, how hard was that to save up about $100K, or how much did you save up?
Yeah, I mean, I think I ended up coming back from Japan with 80,000 Canadian in the bank.
And you worked your behind off.
That was like 5 years of combined work. I mean, the year in Japan really set me up, but lots of people left Japan with $0. I did well to save there, but that was, so to make $100,000, plus I got my initial investment back too, my down payment, right? Which was like another $30 or $40 or $50,000. So I ended up with like $150,000, and I took that money and I went and bought 3 properties within 6 months. And that was kind of how I was like, whoa, I can go exponentially, right? We talk about that all the time. Like, instead of going from 1 to 2, if you can go from like 1 to 3 and then 3 to 6 and then 6 to 12, that's where you start to scale something out. And that's where I was like doing real estate on the side still, because I was still a musical theater performer. And everyone was like, why are you doing all this extra work? And I'm like, because I really enjoy it, and I'm building my future, right? And I'm building my net worth so that when I get into retirement, I don't have to rely on this profession.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're around these artists
all the time.
And the artists, it's not like they're thinking about their finances, but you were doing this.
I was. Yeah.
You must have felt like an outcast.
I was a black sheep, like, for sure. And everyone was like,
"You're buying a house. You getting a mortgage?"
Yeah, people are like,
"Getting multiple
What'd you do this morning?" I was like, "I was like cutting concrete and doing whatever." They're like, "What?" Like, I went to a dance class, or I slept in, or I did whatever. And people kind of were like a little bit taken aback by it. They were almost like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" Right? It seems like you're putting in a lot of extra time and energy and effort. And I specifically would say, like, I'm doing this for my future, right? I think you cannot rely on that. Being an artist, there is no, guarantee that you're going to be able to do that forever. And then there's also no like plan that they set up for you. You can have a little RSP thing, but I mean, we know how RSPs work. You might make 2-3% over the long run of an RSP, and that's just not enough to get you where you want to go. And that was part of my why too. My parents always struggled with money. And I just didn't want to be in that scenario, right? Wow. And so I was like, I want to use real estate investing to like really have a different future for myself.
How did you get to the point where you were like, well, I'm going to leave this art because it's like, it's an art form, you're passionate about it, you love it, it fulfills you. But at some point you said, I'm stepping away from the art, or?
Yeah, there was a couple things that happened. One, I was really tired of working nights and weekends. Mm-hmm. I worked 6 days a week. That's a theater schedule. You do a show every night from Tuesday to Saturday. You do 2 shows on Wednesday, and you do 2 shows on Saturday, and you do a matinee on Sunday. So your time off is from Sunday at 5 p.m. to Tuesday at 7 o'clock, whenever your call time is. So it was really hard for me to have a social life, Imagine saying like, hey, do you want to meet up with somebody? And they're like, yeah, do you want to go for dinner on Friday night? I'm like, no, I can't. I have a show. I can meet you at 11. They're like, I'll be in bed or I'll be drunk, right? You don't want either one of those 2 things. So then it's like, your option was to like see people on Sunday and Monday, which is just like the only people that had that schedule were other theater people. So I just wasn't able to like really have a social life. And then the other thing was, the industry changed a little bit in Canada. Ed Mirvish is a big theater guy, and he passed away. David, his son, took over Mirvish Productions. And David's an art lover and then, kind of shifted. They were looking at redeveloping a lot of their theaters. They were selling them or developing them to like multi-million-dollar condo developments. And they started hiring a lot of, like US casts to come to Canada instead of hiring Canadians, right?
Bastards.
Yeah. And so the industry changed a little bit and I was a little bit tired and I was like, let me try this real estate thing for a little bit. And then I really loved it.
So what was the first, cause you dabbled in it, but what was the first kind of move that you made? Like that was like significant where you said, I'm in this full time.
The first time that I had a bit of a light bulb moment was when I got educated on real estate because I was trial and error. Like when I first started in real estate, I don't know, maybe you can prove me wrong if you want, but like there just wasn't a lot of information out there. We didn't have like a little bit, maybe a book here and there, but even now, everything that we have access to, there's so many great education pieces. And I didn't have that piece. That was the missing piece was I found an education company that was teaching real estate investing. I went there and I had my mind opened up to all the different possibilities of like recycling the money over and over again. And although I had learned some of that naturally through the progression, no one really taught me how to do it. And that's where things started to change. And I was like, I think I can make a career out of this because I have this new knowledge. Right. And so that's where the light bulb kind of went off and everything changed.
And, you're known for someone that is like very hands-on in terms of the construction component. How in the world did you learn that? I mean, I was trying to dig a little bit earlier when I was asking you, was it your dad that taught you this stuff? But, cause I know that it's just anytime I've ever tried, it's been a disaster. It's cost me double to get someone and fix my horrible mistakes. So I learned that it's not for me.
Yeah.
Right? It's not for everybody, but it definitely is for you. Right? It fits you. It suits you. It's kind of up your alley. So kind of how did that get started?
Well, it started with sort of that mindset of like, I actually started doing a couple things. Just, I was in a position where something had broke or I had to fix something. And my thought was, what's it going to cost me to hire somebody else? And this is different than I think now. But at the time I was like, how much does it cost to have somebody else do this? What is the cost of the materials that I actually need to do this? And how many times can I screw this up before it costs me the same amount that it would be to hire somebody else, right? So usually the math was like I could screw it up like 3 or 4 times before it would be costing me the same amount of money. So I was like, I probably can get this on not the first try, but maybe the second try, right? If it's like small repairs and things like that. So that's the mindset that I took. And I started to build my tool catalog, which I always say renovation, the biggest thing, you have to have a little bit of know-how, but you have to have the right tools. If you have the right tools, it makes every job so much easier. And I just started doing little projects here and there and mostly on my stuff, right? So it wasn't like I was working for a client. It wasn't like I was externally doing stuff. So I was like doing renovations and I started small with like the basic stuff like drywall and painting and all those things. And then you pick up flooring and you do a couple things like that. And you're also seeing huge cost savings if you can do some sweat equity. You can do some labor yourself, right? And so I was starting to see the equity building in my projects because I was able to do things at a lesser value because I didn't have to hire someone. And then I started realizing that I'm actually enjoying it. I'm enjoying seeing the transformation of a space when I show up at the beginning of the day and I leave at the end of the day. I actually found that very rewarding. And so as each project went on and I did something new every single time, I just gained knowledge and I gained tools and I gained, all the skills. And next thing you know, I was like, okay, I'm going to take a building down and I'm going to build the whole thing from the ground up.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn. That was the biggest project I ever took on. And then, since then it's just been, that's what I like to do.
I love it. What do you love about it? And what do you prefer wasn't a part of it?
I love seeing the transformation. There's not a single day in construction that you show up at the beginning of the day and leave at the end of the day with something that hasn't changed, right?
Progress.
And it's instant. Like if you like instant gratification, like construction is the industry because you get it every single day. The part that I don't like is obviously there's like a lot of grunt, like there's physical labor that you have to do. And so sometimes you're just like, okay, I got to get 50 sheets of drywall to the third story of this building. I'm like, I could go get a machine to do it, but that's days and thousands. I'm like, okay, it's just
bring it
hump this stuff on our back and away we go. You know what I mean? That's just not fun. It's not glamorous, right? Yeah. But that's just some of the stuff you have to do on a construction site.
Yeah. I watched a lot of the YouTube, your YouTube channel, and kind of like you're getting into the trenches, and I think that there's value there, and I can see that you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because you can tell when someone doesn't.
You have to. Yeah, you have to like it.
When someone doesn't enjoy it. So you transitioned into becoming a full-time investor.
Yeah.
And how did the show come about? Like, not the show, but the television appearances. Because now you're like this Mr. Fix-It guy on this show. You know what I mean? And it's like, you sound like you grew up, you have all these years, but now you have this new knowledge that I think your theater background, combined with, your new career now puts you in a position where you can be entertaining, educate people.
Yeah.
And, now, you've had these television spots. So how did that come about?
It was a very natural progression because I was auditioning a lot for theater and for television, things like that. You get to know the casting directors a little bit. And then as I started to, get a little bit more experience on the construction side, there was one casting director specifically that kept sending me out for all these HGTV shows, right? And they're like, there's a new show coming out and they need a host. Mm-hmm. And I would walk into the room and, I would talk a little bit about my construction experience. And they're like, wow, you're so comfortable like on camera. Cause they are used to seeing all these contractors come in, right? And I'm like, well, I have a background in theater. And I worked 15 years in theater. And so they're like, oh, that's why you have such a natural ease around the camera. Mix, and like all that stuff. And so then, I kept auditioning. I kept auditioning for all of these different shows. I didn't get any of them. And then one time it hit, I auditioned for, The Goods to be one of the hosts. This is a CBC show. And they were like, we loved you, but Steven Sabados, who's like been in the interior design space for many, many years, they're like, he's going to be our like renovation construction guy, but we'd love to have you come in and actually speak about construction and all these different things because that's your expertise, and we think you're great on camera. We really love you, and so that's kind of how that came about, and then that transitioned into City Line, and then I did all this other stuff behind the scenes on Save My Reno and a bunch of other different shows, and so it was kind of a natural through the casting, the casting agent that I got into those television shows.
I remember having a conversation shortly after COVID where now you transitioned like to YouTube, mm-hmm. right? And I remember you had the cameras and the editing and and by the way, at that time, we did an episode together, which was one of your best, most viewed episodes at that time, for a long time.
It held the top spot for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
So
on vendor takebacks.
Yes, vendor takebacks. Right. So go check it out.
It's still a good episode.
It's a great episode. Actually, a lot of people have, every once in a while I get someone that sends me an email where I watched you on that show. It was really well edited.
Yeah, exactly. I won't tell everyone how long the actual interview was versus what we put on camera.
But it was good. It was good. But ultimately, how important is it to create these platforms? I mean, you're like, obviously you're now on television. You got this YouTube channel happening. And, now you've moved on to bigger projects where now you have to raise capital and, you got to do all these things. How important is it to be on YouTube?
Oh man, like thought leadership platforms like YouTube, like anything in social media, even blogs and articles, things like that, where people can search you out and find you. It literally transformed my business. I had a hard time raising $20,000. Just because people didn't know what I was doing and they didn't necessarily trust me yet because I was relatively new as a real estate investor. The moment that I created a thought leadership platform, and that for me was YouTube, maybe not the easiest path to take, but there wasn't a lot of other people out there doing what I was doing at the time. It transformed. I mean, I raised millions of dollars in those first couple of years versus I was having a hard time raising $10,000 or $20,000 before that. And part of that was because people just, they see you in that role. They trust you. There's an immediate sort of connection with you. If I go to an event like we're at here this weekend, people will come up to me. They're like, they feel like they know me already because they've been watching my videos for years, some of them right now. Yeah. And that really was a huge change in everything that I was doing. And it was, again, a natural thing for me to be in front of the cameras and be speaking about my experiences. So it came relatively easy to me. It doesn't mean that it was easy to get started or easy to build an audience, but it was definitely easy for me to turn the camera on and start recording.
And so if you had to do it over again, what would you do? Like, what would you do differently? Because there's things that you've learned that I think could be valuable to the audience right now. You know, people are watching this show. There's a proper mic, right? We got lights. We got a whole crew here in the back, and we got soundboards and mics, and so. And I'm always I come from the thought of like, oh, it doesn't have to be that way. No. There's a simple way to get started, and then eventually you can build up to it, right? Yeah. So, what were some of the things that you would do differently if you had to go back?
Well, I think,
or would you do anything different?
I mean, I would for sure. I think that I might have chosen a different platform. Like YouTube is incredibly, that was my platform that I chose. And the way that I chose to shoot my videos, and we were always laughing about this every time we would talk, because you're like, oh, I just turn my camera on and I shoot something and I post it. I'm like, dude, I go live on it. I script it, or I come up with a thing, I shoot it, I edit it,
Is that your production background that you feel that it needs to, because there's a part of you that needs to put on a show, right?
I think so. I think I was just like, I want to make sure that the content that I put out is like really polished, really hard hitting, and just like people get exactly what they need in that 8 to 10 minute video, right? There's no fluff. When I'm not, there's no space in between anything that I'm talking about if I'm saying something that's really specifically there. But that's a really hard platform and a really hard way to go about it. I mean, my first video, I think I was talking about it, earlier today. I spent about 45 hours just on that one 12-minute video, right? That was shot on my iPhone. By the time I edited it and put titles on it and all that kind of stuff, that's a lot of time. And I knew, I was like, this is not scalable. I cannot do, like, if I wanted to do 2 videos a week, I'd be putting in 80 hours, and you just can't do that. So for me, if I was going back again and starting again, I might choose a platform that's a little more economical, for one, because with YouTube, you need camera gear, you need all the stuff, right? And when people are getting started, that's often difficult. Although the cameras now on our phones are amazing. You can do a lot with that. But, that would probably be like, maybe I would start a podcast, something like that. Because even if I'd gotten in at that time, it would have been a little bit easier to build an audience with that platform, and it would have been a heck of a lot easier, right?
So the podcast, you do it in person?
When I was doing podcasting at the time, we would do like over Zoom, and that was an easy thing for me to do because we could connect on Zoom, and sometimes the audio quality was not great, but you got to sacrifice that a little bit for, just having the ease of somebody sitting in their living room and you're sitting in yours, and you can kind of just interview anybody at any time. So that was the trade-off, right? But I think I shot maybe 10 episodes, podcast episodes with people like actually physically in the room with me. And I really enjoyed those, but again, it was
I love in person. I think
it's way better. If you can actually, it's also too, like, you're not stepping on someone else's words. Like, video is hard, right? For that, it's like, you're kind of talking, I'm talking, and we're like, oh, okay, no, you go ahead. Like, in person, it's just so much easier, but logistically, that's a lot more challenging.
So, for someone that wants to get started, do you recommend like TikTok or like Reels? I like a lot of live. I saw your series, like your land development series. Like high level production.
Oh man,
this is like this is a full on show. Yeah. So and it fits because now you have the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you have the audience where now you have to always like over deliver, with your audience to continue to expand on it. But do you recommend like TikTok and Instagram and lives like that? Like, what's your view on it?
I think you have to figure out who you're trying to market to. Like, if you're trying to get views, you're trying to get eyeballs. that's one thing. If you're trying to raise capital or find investors or find projects, there are different platforms that are going to be much better than, let's say, TikTok. TikTok, you might be able to get some views and get some activity happening. But if you're looking for people to kind of take you seriously and invest with you, there's better platforms like LinkedIn, for instance, right? I mean, I think a lot of people forget about LinkedIn because it's like a business platform, but that's where all the business people are. So I guess it depends on, I don't think there's a right answer between short form or long form content. The thing that I've seen great success on with my videos is evergreen content. So stuff that's relevant regardless of when they view it, right? So like how to buy your first rental property. That's always going to be something that people search, right? Yeah. How to do a vendor take back. Like the reason why that video is so popular
is because it's me.
It's because it's you. And you're the greatest guest I've ever had.
I'm just joking.
The other reason why it's so good
the real reason
is because it's evergreen.
Yeah.
Right? It's always relevant.
Someone's going to search it at some point.
Someone's going to be like, how do I do a vendor take back? And YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, only behind Google, which Google owns YouTube. So when somebody searches, how do I do a vendor take back? Probably our video is going to come up in the search engine, right? And so that's why I love that evergreen content.
What's your biggest video?
Ironically, it's on how to underpin a foundation of a property. Wow. Those construction videos do really well, and it's only because people search, how do I underpin if they want to like do it themselves or whatever. And that's exactly why I did that video, because I wanted to underpin my own basement. I was like, there's no videos out there on how to do this. So when I was doing it, I walked through the entire process, and so many people now comment on that video, just being like, thanks, man. This video is like perfect. It shows everything. It shows all the processes. And then I'm like, yes, please make sure you hire an engineer, because you're basically undermining the foundation of your home. It's not something you want to take on without some professional advice.
How many views on that?
I think it's up to 80, 90,000 views, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. My channel has now over 1.2 million views on it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know that, you're going to get, you're going to get a lot of people following you, and because you're an entertainer, you do so well. I think that was a big part of it, and the people, are going to get value, and I want to know what's next for you. What's the future look like for you?
For me, I'm really just trying to simplify my portfolio and what I'm doing. I love development. I love what we're doing on the purpose-built rental space. I love ground-up developments. So pretty much everything we're doing is we're trying to get just into this, sort of rinse and repeat mode in our business, where we buy and take down buildings and build up, 6, 8, or 10 unit apartment buildings. And that's really what I want to focus on. We do some international investing. I have a project in Costa Rica. I'm not sure how much more of that I'll do. I want to get through that project, see it through all the way one time, and then I'll decide if I want to do another one. But for me, I think it's just finding a bit more work-life balance. I think we talk about that a lot. Why are we doing all this stuff? Why are we, investing in real estate if we can't enjoy our time and enjoy the fruits of our labor? So for me, the focus is definitely finding that more balanced lifestyle. And I feel like I've been able to achieve that over the last 6 months for sure. And I just want to continue to ride that. So building the business, but also being able to step back and enjoy life a little bit.
I love it. I love it so much. Darren, they're going to find all your information in the show notes. So, if they need to get a hold of you, all the information is going to be there. But I want to address the elephant in the room. When are you going to release our podcast, dude?
I don't know. I think maybe it's, I'm going to wait.
Because I saw a little clip on it, or I saw a little reel on it. I'm like, oh my God, it's out. And it never came out. Anyways.
Maybe it'll be like the Beatles or something. Like 20 years from now, I'll be like, hey, we're going to go back into the archives and release this interview.
Yeah. So for the people that are listening right now, so we did one podcast, which did extremely well.
Yeah.
And I was prepared for this one to, be even better than your underpinning video.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, it's not released yet. And I've been waiting for over a year. So we'll see when the time comes. Darren, what's a quote that you live by?
Oh, what's a quote that I live by? That's a great question. And I don't even know that I have a really good answer, but I think one of my favorite quotes, I'm a sports fan. I grew up in Edmonton. I didn't grow up in Edmonton. I grew up in Red Deer.
Sorry about your loss.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But I love that quote by Wayne Gretzky, where he says, you don't want to be, you have to kind of like envision where the puck is going, right?
Yeah. Don't skate to where the puck is, skate to where the puck is going.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's kind of how we look at, our investing and we look at our businesses. It's like, I don't really want to go and do what everyone else is kind of doing. I want to see like, how can I be a pioneer in this space and how can I lead versus following? And I think that really resonates with me for sure.
Beautiful, Darren. Thank you for finally coming by. Good to have you here, brother. And make sure you guys connect with him. Alfonso loves you. We'll see you at the top. Woo! Let's go.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Genius Podcast. Presented in part by Expand Investor Conference, December 13th to 15th at Weston Harbor Castle, Toronto. Get your tickets now at wealthgenius.ai/expand. If you have a question or comment about something you heard today, reach out to the Godfather via social media or email him anytime. All that information is in the show notes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Wealth Genius Podcast. The Wealth Genius Podcast. Until next time, see you at the top.